Hey guys, Josh, Happy Little Landscapes, back again today with a 16 by 20 inch canvas. Dramatic sunset sky, big gnarly tree over here. Got our little road or our walkway. So if you guys want to learn to paint a painting just like this one, I'm talking to you specifically. Do you want to learn to paint this painting? Then stick around, get your colors out, get your brushes, and I'll tell you what we need coming up just like this. Today we have Dark Sienna, Alizarin Crimson, Prussian Blue, Midnight Black, Titanium White, Bright Red, and Indian Yellow. This painting right here that we did this last Wednesday, sold before I was even able to post it to YouTube. So we're going to kind of make one similar to that, give it a kind of a sunset feel, and we'll see where we end up. It's never going to be exactly the same, so let's get right to it. Okay, need our Bob Ross 2-inch brush to start. Happy Little Landscapes. Go to Etsy, etsy.com/shop/happylandscapeart. You can buy the apron, you can buy the hats, you can buy the paintings and the prints and the pillows and the phone cases and everything else that I offer. So why don't we go right in? We're going to go just the corner. You see how I'm doing it here, right? Just the corner. Don't need a lot of paint, right? A little bit of the red, a little bit of the orange. Well, not orange, Indian yellow. We're going to make orange. And why don't we come up here and we'll just kind of make this, we're just dropping in the color. We don't have to blend it out right now. Just going to drop it in. We'll make this kind of orangey, reddish, yellowy kind of color there. Actually, let's add a little bit more red because I want it to be nice and deep. Just a deep, deep sunset here, just like so. Go straight into our crimson without washing the brush. Right? We put Bob Ross liquid white on the canvas to start with, just a very light layer. Don't even need a whole lot of paint. You can find my other video on how to put Bob Ross liquid white onto your canvas before we start. And that helps these thick oil colors just kind of blend together, okay? Gonna leave a little bit of a white area because we always forget to do that. And again, we want to have this one super vibrant and colorful, so we're gonna add more and more and more paint. Straight into our Prussian Blue. All right, what do we always say, guys? Finish the sides, you gotta finish it. Gotta finish it. Shoot, we'll even bring the blue down into here. Just don't want to get it too close to our red and yellow. If you have enough red, then it won't kind of go green when we go to mix it. So we'll find out if we have enough red there. Straight into our Midnight Black. You know me. Gotta finish the sides. So once we finish this, we can lock the canvas down and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. All right, come over here. Go back into our reddish and yellow so we can kind of match the side over here. Just like so. Bing, bang, boom. You can use one side for your darks, one side for your lighter colors. Come over here. This side will be all kind of grayish anyway. And everything will mix together. So take our brush, wipe it off along the bottom down here. That kind of dilutes the color that's on there, gets your liquid white back on your brush, and that way it doesn't transfer over into your color when you go to do that. So right there. Already had our Red Bull this morning. Feeling good. We've got wings, right? Let's get to it. So we're going to wash the brush off. Want a nice clean dry brush when we start to blend the colors together. Got the old trusty beater bucket. I'm sure you've seen it before. There we go. You can use whatever you want. I've heard people using Dawn dishwashing soap. Kind of get the oil out of your brush. I use Jasco brush cleaner. You can use low odor mineral spirits or paint thinner. Whatever you can do to get the paint back off of your brush. And then we always dab it on a paper towel. You want it to be dry. Okay. Nice and dry. Happy Little Landscapes. Buy the shirts, buy the hats, buy everything. Helps me keep buying more canvases and bringing you guys more paintings. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/happylandscapeart, Instagram @happylittle-landscapes, but most importantly, subscribe on YouTube, and that'll help me bring you guys more videos each week, okay? As of right now, we're sort of doing 2 a week. We may drop to 1 a week, may do more than 2 a week. So subscribe, and then you'll be notified every time I post a new painting. All right, we're going to come back into our lightest area first and just kind of crisscross strokes till we blend it all to this nice soft orangey color. Come up into our crimson, kind of bring that down, still leaving this little area of white there. And then we're going to come into our dark areas, right? Now, once you go too far into your dark, you don't want to come into your lighter area. It's just going to start to mud everything up, okay? So come up here, bring our blues and our blacks, and we'll come down a little bit. Don't have to crisscross stroke. However you want to, blend it. You can do the little circles. You can do whatever. Just get it blended. You don't want it too thick up there. Otherwise, you'll have trouble putting your clouds on, your mountains. Everything starts with a nice, soft, blended sky, okay? Come down, maybe we can leave just like that. And just by doing that, we've kind of got a little cloud shape into our sunset, where we've got sunsets on each side. We don't even know if we're going to cover all the sunset or not. So don't worry about it too much. Just want to leave a little bit of color up there. And then every color that you drop down here in the bottom will eventually turn into some kind of shadows or some kind of color in our snow down there. I'm actually going to lower the camera. There we go. So, like I said, every bit of color that you put down here at the bottom is going to be some sort of shadowing for your, snow or water or grass, whatever you put down the bottom. So you can always drop colors down there, and then you can always cover them back over. And we'll go with our trusty old kind of cloud making fan brush. I use this brush for mainly everything, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a size 10, it doesn't have to be this size. Just fan brushes are kind of easy to make clouds with, my kind of clouds anyway. So why don't, for our lightest area, we'll go into our Alizarin Crimson, right? And then, who knows, we'll make some far off little messy clouds, right? All we're doing is making a mess. It's literally it. Just kind of a couple swipes on there when we'll blend them out, and they'll look like the shadows of a cloud, right? Just the top corner of the brush, just like so, bam, 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 bam. And like that, we've got this kind of shadowy, dark bit of a cloud that we'll end up covering over. Come in, you can even do the red if you wanted to. Just give it a little bit of difference. Go in, blend those hard lines out. Blend them out, blend them out. Remember, we're trying to leave a bit of this kind of sunset-y color in the sky, so don't cover it all. I'm going to go more into our crimson, maybe a little bit of our crimson and Prussian Blue together. And then, who knows, we'll just make a mess. Doesn't have to look like anything specific. Doesn't have to look like this. I'm just kind of making it up as we go along, and that's how we paint with Josh, right? We make a mess. So again, we're going to come back in. We're going to make our little circles, kind of blend out our sky. Don't want to really see any hard lines. It's got to be nice and soft and blended, okay? Again, Happy Little Landscapes. We make a mess around here, right? Make a mess. And again, we're just using the top corner of the brush. Your clouds can be however you want. You know what I mean? Doesn't have to be a certain shape. We can do whatever we want to do. And why don't we just take the straight up midnight black, and then we'll go, I kind of like this soft area back here, so why don't we just throw a little bit of shadowing at the top there. You can mix it out with your fan brush, you can mix it out with your 2-inch brush. Doesn't very much matter, you just want it nice and soft. And the 2-inch brush helps it get a lot softer than the fan brush does. But I like that, it's looking good. And down here, like I said, really doesn't very much matter. We're going to lose a lot of that into our, whatever we put underneath. You can put a bit of forest down here, you can do a mountain, you can do whatever you want. So don't worry about it too much, is what I'm saying. Let's clean off our fan brush. Or switch to another fan brush, whatever you want to do. Come into our white, just a couple swipes on there. Not really too much paint, it's only really on one side. I've got a bristle kind of hanging out the top there. Looks like a tooth, a little sharp tooth. And who knows, we'll come up, maybe put a little bit of that in here, just nice and soft so it kind of bounces off those colors. Maybe there's a little white puff of a cloud back there. Let's blend out our lightest colors first, right? And even it's not a very good word, blend. We're not really blending it. We're just kind of disturbing what the paint looks like. Getting rid of the lines that we made with our fan brush, right? Come back in, and we got a bigger, thicker chunk up here. You know, now I'm grabbing a little glob of paint, right? Just so I can spread it over a further distance. You don't want it too thick, right? Don't want it everywhere. You can put it anywhere. Okay, come back in. The areas where it's thicker, it's going to be much brighter. It's going to stand out more, right? But you don't want to over blend it too much. You over blend it, and then it's going to disappear. This white will just blend in with all the other colors that we have up in our sky, okay? And even right now, I mean, this is looking really good. You could change your idea. You don't have to paint exactly what I'm painting. This could be a wicked kind of seascape sort of sky. So if you want to switch and paint a wave, at least I've shown you how to paint a nice dramatic purpley, pinky, orangey, reddy sky, right? Every color. Let's take the last little bit when we go over these shadows, just very lightly up top. Don't want too many. And you can see we've left spaces in between the clouds, right? Especially when you go to blend it, it's going to expand. So leave space in between the clouds. And that way you can show your colors in between, right? It's looking really good. Okay, get rid of just that color that we picked up from our, blending out. And we're going to swipe up all the way to the top. From the bottom of our clouds, all the way to the top. Very lightly touching it, right? We're not smushing it, but we're kind of putting a little bit of pressure. And you can go side to side, back and forth, very lightly. See how I'm pushing harder down here? You can hear the difference. Very lightly up here. You're just kind of smoothing over, taking out those brush strokes. Let's take a look back here where you guys are. That's looking really good. You can see we've got this nice soft white cloud, got some orange and some red, some crimson in there. We didn't cover everything, right? Otherwise, what's the point of putting up all these colors if you're just going to cover it all? So we'll go in here, we'll make a mountain. How we like to make our mountains, get a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, a little bit of crimson, a little bit of brown. I mean, you can put red in there if you wanted to. It's all going to mix together into this kind of dark, blackish looking color anyway. Like so. Mix it up real good. Okay, I'm thinking we're going to do 2 mountains in this one. So let's take a little bit of white, right? Not a lot, just a little bit. Mix that in with our little mountain mixture that we've made. All right, and we'll get our own kind of special color. Okay, now we'll take this and we'll come up and we'll just kind of make a big decision on where our mountain's going to live. We want to have 2 of them. So why don't we drop one in over here. All we're worried about is what this top line looks like, right? It doesn't have to be, like a pyramid. You don't have to have it flat. You can make it however you want, but I always like putting a couple little bumps in there. It just makes it look more realistic than a straight line. All right, scraping off all that paint underneath. And there's a bit that goes over here, comes down, leaving some of that sunset in the sky, right? We want to be able to see that. So that whole cloud that we put down here, we're going to lose, but it's okay. It's all right. We know it was back there to begin with. All right, come back, scrape it away, a couple little humps and bumps, and just mush everything down in there. I'll take our 1-inch brush and just lightly kind of grab it, pull it down at an angle. Pull it this way if you wanted to, just however you want. And now that kind of pinkishy sky color is mixing in with the bottom of our mountain. We don't want to cover all that. Right, it's going to look like some cool kind of reflection, a little bit of color down there in the sky. And just like that, you have created a mountain. Very simple, just a few minutes. Right, and then we can take and just kind of do our little patented circle motion here. Kind of mix in all these. It's already mixing with the liquid white, so it's going to end up looking like a little bit of fog. Okay? Like some clouds are rolling through the mountain back here. Now we've got this mountain that's just kind of sat out in the middle of nowhere. So what we'll do now is we'll go in, get our little pile of kind of bluey white mixed with a little bit of that mountain mixture that we made. Right? Not Bob's mountain mixture, but the mixture that we've made up. Put a little bit of that in there, and it just kind of dulls it to this grayish, bluish kind of color, and that'll be the shadows for our clouds. Right, so we can imagine the sun is over here somewhere. It's casting down all these lights, right? So why don't we just kind of put in some of these shadows over here. All depends on what you want yours to look like. I mean, there's a bit down in there. Maybe it goes this way. Totally up to you. This side of the mountain might be in shadow. You might have a little bit of white coming down through there. Again, however you want it to look is how it's going to look, okay? Doesn't have to look like mine. Now, why don't we take just a little bit of the crimson in with our little white highlight tile. I always need more highlights than shadows, and we'll mix it in. You just want a little bit of crimson, though, because it's really powerful stuff. All right, we'll get this kind of pinky, whitish snow. And we'll come up here and we'll just kind of follow down. We don't want to cover over everything, right? And we put a little bit on that peak back there, like there was a little bit of shadow peeking through. Come down. Totally up to you. Again, it doesn't have to be super bright, right? But you want to pull it in the way. Be mindful of your angles, right? However you pull it is how it's going to look. So be careful. Let me say this mountain's going down this way. We've got this little bit of shadow. It's kind of casting over. You don't want to cover up all your shadows, right? Otherwise, it's just going to be this kind of pinky, whitish mess. And that might not be what you're looking for. So, get the peaks of our mountains up here, casting these shadows down, 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 down. All right, we got that. I like that little bit that comes through there. Kind of mix it in with our little bluish kind of highlights, and it's looking good. Take our 2-inch brush, just very lightly, just like we made the clouds, and we fluffed them up in the direction of how we laid our snow down. So if it came down this way, go up this way. If it came down that way, come up this way. And all that it kind of does is just blur the bottom of our painting, of our mountain. And then you can do it like Bob does, you can do it like I do, and just kind of twisty, push, however you want. And that just kind of mixes all those little colors together and creates this fog, right? We don't want to have it on a straight line, so I like to do mine in this kind of U shape, right? You can come up above your mountain, you can drop a cloud in and come down through there. Totally up to you. All right, so why don't we mix it, mix it, mix it, mix it. Now we've got this kind of purplish, pinky looking fog down underneath. And that'll give us something for, to play off of when we put something else down there. So, said we were going to have 2 mountains. So let's take this mountain, make it a little bit darker. Just throw some black in there, mix it up, kind of bring it back to its original dark color before we added in the white a few minutes ago. This hair out of the way. And then we'll come in, let's say we've got another one that lives over here, right? Come in, we're not going to cover all of our fog up. We want to have some bits of that fog that we made, right? You don't want your 2 mountains kind of overlapping each other. You create that mist, and then you drop in a bit of your mountain, leaving a little area of fog in between, okay? Just a bit. Then we're going to come in, we're going to scrape off all that excess color. Otherwise, when we start to blend it, the mountain will grow real far, okay? So you want to scrape it off. Nice and hard. Get the majority of that stuff off of there. As we come up over here. Again, it doesn't have to be an exact shape, okay? Now we can shape it how we want to with our 1-inch brush, right? Like that. Come around, finish the sides over there. Get a little bit more darker paint. Just kind of make this little bit of a mountain over here. Go again. We're just mindful of what the top edge looks like. All right, down underneath here, doesn't matter, so don't worry about it. Right, pull this one down. Let's get a little bit more dark up in here. Just kind of blend it in. There we go. Take this. Maybe this side starts coming down the other way. It crosses in front of that mountain right there. Totally up to you what you want it to look like. All right, but the more little humps and bumps that you have, the better of a mountain you're going to have. Okay, you don't want it to be this, straight shape. We're going to mix it up down here. Creating our fog. It's mixing with our liquid white. And now we've got this little double mountain range. It's looking really good, actually. I really like that white bit of cloud that we put up there with no shadows. It kind of almost looks like the sun is back behind that cloud. So we're going to take a little bit more blue this time with our white because we want the shadows to be, significantly darker than they were before. Scrape up our little shadow color. Shoot, we need some more blue in there. Get them real dark. Kind of like that. In the meantime, subscribe to my channel, guys. Subscribe. Come on. Help me out. Now, let's say the majority of this mountain is going to be in the shadow, so we just start dropping in our little shadowy colors. Again, holding the palette knife at the same angle of your canvas. If yours is on a table, then you want to hold it, flat to the table. You don't want to come at it at an angle. It's not going to break as well. Okay, again, the more you go over it, the less little breaks you're going to have. So be mindful of how many times you're going over it. All right, you can tell this blue is significantly brighter blue or darker blue than the blue back there. Just kind of indicates to me that these mountains are a little bit closer than those ones are back there. Yeah, who knows? Maybe the sun's hitting over here. It's hitting on this, hitting on that. Come down, get some white to go across here. So maybe just a little bit in there. It's almost too much. Bingo, bango. However you want it to look. It doesn't matter how many times I paint a painting. It never looks exactly the same as the first time I ever painted it. You start seeing different things, you make your mountain a different way, and it just looks really cool. So let's get a little bit more of that white. Maybe scrape up the last bit of our pink. I don't want it as pink as back here, right? We're kind of in the shadow, so we want it just, almost mainly white. And come down just every so often. Just drop in a little bit of that white kind of over our shadow color. All right, maybe this side comes that way. Maybe we got a little bit of light play over here. All depends. Right? Again, the more and more you go over it, the more it's going to ruin all those breaks. So be careful. This guy comes down in front of here. You don't need to cover every single bit with white either. You want to have these little darker areas of our mountain kind of show through. Like that. Bang, bo, bang, bo. We got this nice thick thing right here. Get this little ridge. The ridge comes down, comes in front of that thing there. Got one over here, and again, we're holding the knife vertical because our canvas is mainly vertical. Okay, you don't want to hold it. You don't want to come in like this, or it's just going to scrape. Right? If you're holding it straight sideways, hold it same angle as your canvas, and let it work itself down there. It's looking really good, actually. I never know what it's going to look like before we start. You guys have already seen it. You've seen what it looks like because I take the bit at the end and I throw it in the front and say, hey, this is what we're going to make. So you've already seen it. I haven't seen the dang thing. All right. I don't want to have too much down here because we're going to have a little bit of forest. Maybe make another road since that road painting sold so dang fast. This one up here. Where is it? Over there. The one behind me. Let's see. I know I want to have some kind of big tree off to the side over here. And then every so often, right in our most darkest areas, we're just going to drop in some of that mixture of the mountain that we had made. Right, just a little bit though. You don't want to have too much of this dark black. You got to stop yourself. It starts looking really neat, and then all of a sudden you've got way too much of it. Trust me, I've done it. Come in. Who knows? Maybe there's a bit of shadowing in there. A little bit more over here. It almost looks like, you know, these big rocks that are sticking up out of the snow that didn't get covered when it snowed last. Come down. You know, I want a bit of it in there. And again, don't overdo it. I'm telling you. Don't overdo it. You're going to hate yourself. Be like, oh, Josh, it didn't. How come mine didn't come out like yours? Well, sort of overdid it on the shadows. I do it. It's very easy to do. All right, just a little bit of snow up on the top of that one. We can even take some, put it back in here. You want to be brave, okay? If you've already done your mountain and you're feeling brave, you can always go back. You know what I mean? You make too much of a mistake, this mountain's going to have to change to cover over that, okay? So, be brave. Here, might as well just use the whole dang thing. So now we got this nice kind of textured mountain. You can see it from the side of the canvas, which is going to make people, if it's hanging up in your hallway or in your room or your living room, and people see that it's textured from the side, it's going to make them want to come around and look and see what is back there. You know what I mean? What are they missing? They don't want to look at it. Right down here, we'll just kind of make this little bit where we can add our fog, right? Tired of holding that dang palette sometimes. So, almost forgot, we'll come in and we'll kind of swipe up in the direction, right, that we laid our snow down. Going about halfway up the mountain. You want to keep, you know, a lot of these textured areas. And then we want to kind of blend the bottom into this fog. Okay, and you do it with a 2-inch brush. Push it in, bounce it around, kind of like a heartbeat monitor, right? Boop, boop, boop. Up and down. Don't want your fog, at least I don't want my fog to be on this straight line. So we'll kind of mix it in, mix it up over here. See what she looks like. Looks pretty good. I like it. Got this kind of dark shadow, maybe a little bit of that sun is coming through and hitting these peaks down here. Got some of our darker shadows in there. A little bit of our blue snow. Shoot, we can even add a little bit in here. Just some little creeks and crevices where the sun can't reach to. Right. Up it up. Make a little bit of fog out of it. Don't have to go side to side, depending on where you go with your mountains. I don't want to take a big tree and stick it over all that thick paint on this side, right? So I've kind of left this side, maybe subconsciously left this side so we can take and put a bigger tree over here, and it's not going to kind of mix in with all that thick snow paint. Like I said, just making it up as we go along. But you don't have to go side to side with your mountains, okay? It's something that I struggled with. It would start looking so good that I would span it to the edge of the canvas, and then I would go to put my trees in the front, and it would get all muddy and mixed in with all this thick paint. All right, now we've kind of got this sort of grayish, purpley, pinky kind of mixture with our liquid white down the bottom. And we'll take our kind of same mixture that we made our mountains out of, and we'll make some trees out of that. So same colors, blue, black, crimson, maybe a little bit of brown. Like I said, you could throw the red in there, you could throw the orange in there, or the Indian yellow in there if you wanted to. I'm not going to use it anymore anyway. It was literally only for the sky. So mix it up. It'll turn into this different kind of shade of color. But again, you want it to be very mixed and very dark. And bam, bam, bam. Mix it all up. Now we've got this big glob. I don't know if you can see it right there. Big glob of paint, okay? You need a lot because you want it to be thick. And we're going to end up making a whole lot more. So if you have excess left over after this section of the video, That's fine. We'll end up using it, I promise. Okay, gonna wiggle it. What do we do? Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. All the way down, about halfway on each side of the brush. One side looks like there's more, it doesn't matter. And then we're gonna come in, we're gonna make our trees, right? If we're gonna make it like this last one, with our road in it, right? We'll have the road kind of down here, maybe dipping off, turning one way or another. So I know I want to leave a bit for my big trees, so we're just gonna kind of start popping them in. Same thing, little heartbeat monitor action, okay? Up and down. You want to leave bits of your fog. You don't want to come straight up into all that thick snow. Again, it'll start mixing together, and it won't look like you want it to look. Cover over on the edges, because what do we always say? Finish the sides, right? Finish those sides. Here, come up under here, maybe taller trees on this side, however you want yours to look, right? So all we're doing is making a big old mess. Make a mess, right? Etsy.com/shop/happylandscapeart. Buy the apron. You could totally just get it dirty. Get it dirty. Be like, look what I did to your apron, Josh. Okay. And kind of mix all those up. Get some sharp points to the top. Might as well finish around the sides, right? Then we'll come in with our 2-inch brush, right? Still haven't washed it in a while. And we're just going to come in and just pop against the canvas like the same thing, up and down, up and down, up and down. Right? Take and push these up, just like we did with our cloud, just like we did with our mountain. Hair out the way. And that kind of fills in all these little gaps down around the bottom and gives your trees these nice, sharp kind of peaks. Okay? A little bit of our white paint. So we can have some real defined fog. If it's not bright enough, you can always go back in and make it brighter into your class. Okay. Come up into our fog and just make it down like this. Again, not on a straight line. Don't want to even have our horizon on a straight line. With the fog, you can imagine, your eye will kind of imagine where it wants to put your horizon, okay? So, if we're going to do a road, right, I'm going to guess my horizon is just about here. Maybe it comes up on this side. We're going to have a couple more trees. Do whatever we want. Get those brush hairs out. All right, now we can take, why don't we just kind of outline where we want our road to be. Right, so this dang lip on my canvas always gets in my way when you want to get to the very bottom. And who knows, if our horizon line's back there, kind of come straight like this, drop our road in. Doesn't have to be super dark for right now. I just kind of want to see where it's going to go. All right, just using the corner of the brush so it makes it thinner back there. Then we can have it kind of disappear into wherever. Right, you want to get your perspective right, so it usually needs to be a lot wider down the bottom than you think. Oh, that's looking good right there. It's almost like a little pyramid we're building down here at the bottom. Right, then we can blend it in later, but as you're standing on the road, it's going to be wider next to where you are, and pointier off in the distance, okay? So, that looks good. Take, and we can just literally kind of make some mist out of the end of the road so you can't tell where it's going, right? Or there's some fog rolling over it, or you know, you come back and you get back into here, maybe it turns around. Do whatever you want to do. Okay, fill in all those little gaps. See how I'm pulling at an angle? I'm taking where the point is, just like kind of spreading it, so your little imperfections look like they're straight on the road and it's curving off and, going out into the distance. Okay, we'll take some more of that tree color that we made. If you need to make more, go back and make more. You want it to be nice and thick. Okay, I'm thinking we're going to have like this big kind of scraggly arm of a tree coming out in this one. So let's leave room for that. Maybe down around here. Using the corner of the brush, you can see how the brush is kind of 90 degrees to the canvas, right? We're just pushing in with the corner. Kind of twisting back and forth like that, okay? If you come in straight at the canvas here at the top, then your bristles at the top are going to be very long, which is not what I want. That's one of the mistakes I made when I was brand new. I was like, oh, I'll just come in like this and push the bristles in straight, and then I get these really long branches at the top of my tree when I want them to be nice and sharp and pointy like these over here. Let me do a little taller of a one, make them a little skinnier, put them further off in the distance, right? Just using the corner of the brush. That's literally it. Then we can take all of our lights coming from this way, so we can pull to the side. You can always go back in and fix your road or make it darker to stand out. Right? Pull to the side on this guy. And why not, while we're here, we can just add, you know what, I'll wait till I put my snow before I add that little guy. Let's do some taller ones over here. So in this instance, it almost looks like, just from the way that I blended it, that the road might curve off to the left or to the right. And it seems like it's going back that way, right? So again, we're just going to very lightly disturb the color, make our little fog out of it. And then we'll come over here, maybe put a little bit of a taller one. Let's go up in here. Right, taller. You want your paint to be super thick, okay? Just with the corner. Now we can tell that this one, the bigger we get, is looking, and the further down we come from here, it's getting closer to us, okay? It's all about perspective. How's it supposed to look? All right, we'll go like that. Again, we can come back in and fix our road. That's the best part about these oil paints, is they move and blend, and you can always change it if you don't like it. Come over, maybe put a little bush in between this guy. And then we can come back up and make a taller version. Now why don't we go just above this mountain, go straight down, almost all the way to the bottom. Again, you want a lot of paint on your brush, okay? If you start to mix with this paint up here, what you can do is come back in, a little bit of paint thinner, just a little bit of paint thinner, right? Make it just a little bit thinner. You don't need to dunk your whole brush, just need like the corner of your brush, okay? Come in, and now that'll just kind of glide right over everything down there. Still leaving our textured areas, right? Come back in, we'll get some more. Almost need to make up some more. Come back in here. You want it to be thick. Okay, you want it to stick to the canvas and pop out so you can see the texture from the sides. That's how you want it to be. That way your highlight colors will stick to it a lot better. They'll kind of fill in all those little gaps and areas down there. And we just cover over the bottom here, just like that. Take our 1-inch brush again, kind of decide where our tree, everything is going to live. And then we can pull it over, fix our road back there. Might look like it's all the same color right now, but we're going to highlight everything, so don't worry about it. Okay, we got our whole tree, comes up over our mountain, which indicates that it's close to us. This one's a little bit further away. This one's smaller, so it's further away, further away, further away. Now we're going to go back in and get just a load of our liquid white, right? Bunch of that, kind of mix it with a little chunk of our titanium white. All it's really doing is thinning down the paint, right? Come in with our blue, and just mix it up. Nice and in the bristles. I've got a little micro fan brush here. It's easier, I think, to do the trees with a bigger brush and then come back in with your details and do it with a smaller brush. It's kind of got too much paint in there. So we'll come in, why don't we just, same thing, but we're not going to push as hard as we did with the, in order to make it stick to the canvas. We're just very lightly touching, going at an upward angle like this, okay? Upward angle, kind of making a Z shape as we go down. Kind of Z, 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 right? Back and forth. Don't need to do them all. And the less and less, more and more you get to the bottom, the less and less highlights you need. Don't need a ton of highlights up there, down around the bottom, okay? The more and more you push in with your brush, you can see how it's darker on the ends there. The bigger, your textured, your highlight areas are going to be. Now, as we go in and get more paint, it's going to dull that blue just slightly because we've kind of mixed it in with this black, right? Which is fine. It's going to naturally make the other ones look further away versus starting in the back and having to dull it and then getting brighter and brighter. This will happen naturally. I'll come back in, again, just the corner, and just very lightly touch. You don't have to do the whole thing. You don't want the whole, you don't want to cover up all your shadows of your trees. Otherwise, what's the point? It's going to look like this bright white blue mess. Okay, back here, even less because it's further away. Right, you don't have to go all the way to the bottom. And then over on this guy, same thing. Less and less and less until you get down there. You don't need to do the whole thing. It doesn't all have to look symmetrical. It doesn't have to be the same on each side. Shoot, almost forgot about our little bush back here. Right? You don't want to cover up all of your shadows. Otherwise, there will be no depth. Wash off our little tiny brush, into the paint thinner, and then onto some paper towels. That's how I do it. All right, we said we were going to make a little bush over here, but first, to make it easier for everybody, we'll kind of add in our little snowy highlights. So again, we've got some of this blue with the white, the titanium white, and the Prussian blue still left on our palette from when we did the snow shadows back here. So what we'll do is just very lightly just kind of pull over just on the left side, right? The left side of our mountains are shadowed. The left side of our snow on the ground is going to be shadowed. Okay, over here, kind of pull it down, pull it down. And every so often there'll be some white in there where the sun is shining through, shine through a branch, and kind of light up an area of cloud, snow. Okay. And you can take this snow and brush it over your highway if you want, or your road, or if not, you can come back in, and this is where we kind of clean up the road, right? Just like so. I'm going to take some of our dark color and add in some shadows or rocks, right? Some deeper, darker stuff. Or take some of the white and you can go over. But again, you want to leave, some of your blue in there. If you're going to do the white, just put it on the top, and then it'll look like there's light, casting a shadow down over the rest. Right here. Throw some of that white snow in, so again there's blue underneath it, right? Almost looks like a little hill back there. This side again, all white on one side, blue on the other, and that way it'll look like a shadow, right? Throw our hill down in there. Take it again very softly, swipe up in the direction that we put them on. That's just going to soften it. Want it to be soft. Right, fix our road. Fix the road on this side. Bam, I love these oil paints. You can literally do whatever you want to do. Especially if you're using white, it'll just blend into, anything. Let's get some of that straight up. Since I don't have any more mountain mixture and I'm too lazy to make some more, we'll come back in and put a little bit of bush back here off the side of the road. pull this guy. He's kind of hanging over into the road. No big deal. Pull him this way. I like that one branch just kind of hanging over the side. We might have to. We're going to get rid of it for right now, but we're going to put it back in once we do our little road lines, okay? Got that. Got a little bit of snow over here. We can always fog it up. All right, you could leave your painting just like that. Call it done if you wanted to. You could put another tall tree like this one over here, but I've been doing that a lot. And I'll show you guys something different. We'll make up something different here. So again, we're going to make our tree color, same color, red, blue, black, well, crimson, blue, black. Should throw the red in there, it doesn't matter. Does not very much matter. We're at on time, 45 minutes, 46 minutes. Okay, make it nice and thick. And then, who knows, maybe this whole side of this thing is going to be covered in this big old trunk of a tree. Alright, so you can use your fan brush, you can use your Filbert brush, you can use whatever kind of brush you want. But for me, I know this sucker will come down like this. Right? Maybe there'll be some roots or something down there. That's why we put this fog in the back. And this guy's going to be big. Alright, like so. Then we can go back and highlight him afterwards. Maybe he comes up into our mountain. There's a branch that goes out. There's a branch up here. Never know. However you want to do it. This is why we left that dark area back there. The area over here where there wasn't anything going on. Finish our branches off the side. Get this big straggly sucker. Like an old dead tree or something back there, right? You're like, oh, Josh, what did you just do? I know. Looks kind of funky right now. There's a branch coming out over here, maybe over there. Now we're going to get a lot of paint thinner onto our little liner brush. About 5 or 6 dips into the cup. Right into that same bit of our mountain mixture, right? We just want to thin it down onto our little liner brush, and that way we can make nice sharp branches. All right, so we come over and it'll glide over all this thick, paint that's in the back there. There's a bit over here. You can make all these little sharp little branches wherever you want. All right, if it starts dragging too much, or kind of splitting, you'll be able to see it on your canvas, then go back and get more paint thinner. Doesn't last forever, right? Let's go back in. You want it to almost run off of your palette. And then I always twist as I pull out, right? Twist the brush, get this nice little point on it. Go in and just keep making branches. Old dead tree, bunch of sharp branches. Right up into our mountain. And this guy comes over here. That one that turns up, maybe turns back into the tree. Totally up to you. Just want to make sure if it's thick out here, you got to have a big thick branch holding it up. Okay. Like that. Maybe there's another one down here. Just a half a broken branch. There's too much paint on my brush. These nice sharp little lines. Okay. And bam. Just like so, guys. You can make as many as you want. Literally sit there and play with it all day long. Just remember to come in, get your paint thinner, right? Make it nice and runny. Then you can go back out and start making really sharp edges to your branches, okay? Very sharp branches. This guy turns this way, he comes down. They never grow at the same kind of rate. You want them to be crisscrossing back and forth in front of each other. Have some more come up, little thick ones, thin ones, crisscrossing everywhere. This is the part that could take forever, depending on how many little branches that you want to put in there. You know, don't make them all come out of the same area on your branch, right? So if I had one that started there and went here, maybe make a different one going the other way. Again, be mindful of how thick your branches are compared to how thick they are out here. Can't be super thick at the end and then have this, you know, thin branch that's kind of holding it together. So you can always go back in, make them thicker, and just play with it until you like it. You get this scraggly old tree. It's kind of grown and died. All these real long branches coming off of it. Just like that. Like the way that looks, actually. You can imagine in the summertime, this whole branch full of this whole tree full of leaves. Right, but in the winter, everything died off. Now it's just out here. Again, this could take the longest part of your painting. You don't want all the branches the same. You know, some of them have little bits coming off of them everywhere. Totally up to you. Don't want them all the same length, is what I mean. Or thickness, or anything else. This guy comes around the side, because we always finish the sides, guys. Comes over here where you guys can't see, but I can see it. And extend the smaller ones, just kind of cover over. It makes you look through the branches to your mountains, right? Like this guy over here. Now, the longer I extend them out, the thicker I make the branches, kind of holding them up. A couple little pieces off to that side. Get this little guy back there. Maybe one off to this way. Totally up to you, however you want to make it. Just make it sort of symmetrical. Imagine the other side of the tree going off this way. You've got a bunch of branches on each side. Okay. Switch to, like, I take these micro fan brushes and I make them even smaller for these last little bits way out on the top. You get these very, very, very sharp edges with this little tiny brush. Bam, can you step back? That looks pretty good. Haven't done a big tree like this in a long time, so I want to show you guys. You get used to just painting these evergreens and calling it done, but there's other things you can do. I take a little bit of the thicker paint, come back in here where it's too thin, make it a little bit darker. Kind of adds a little bit of highlight and shadow to your branches. Wash that one off, wash this guy off. It looks pretty good. You don't want to do too many highlights on the tree here. I mean, you can even take, I found it works kind of neat, is if you just kind of take it and run, you know, just make a mess going down the tree like this. Right, taking that color, that almost looks like bark, right, when you're close up. You get this kind of a bark in your tree, thicker, darker areas, lighter areas, right? Art's about light and dark. Fill in the side. Then we can take the bottom. Almost just by pushing, I didn't put any paint on this brush, just by using the paint that's already on the tree. Right, we can make little bushes come off that way. Now we'll take a little bit of paint, make them a little bit darker, just by using our 1-inch brush. Come back in, maybe get, since this side's in the light, we'll have it, you know, a little bit lighter than, a little bit brighter than the blue shadows on this side, right? And who knows, we can take a couple of these, pop them in there at different angles. Again, we're not covering over the whole shadow. It's not what you want to do. Push that sucker off. Put it back. And then we don't have much that we can highlight this with, but we can use a little bit of the titanium white, and just in certain areas, you know, you kind of come over to the side. Don't want to do the whole tree, just kind of highlighting it a little bit, right? Like the light is over there. It's kind of casting a shadow around this tree. So come back in with our last little chunky bits, our bark. Just make them nice and messy. It's literally it. And cover the side over here. And there you got it, guys. So we got a wicked little painting. Got the tree over here. You can even get all that dark off of our liner brush here. Take some of our liquid white, right? Come up here onto our branches. Just kind of highlight the edges of the branches that you think would be in the light, just to kind of break up all this dark color. And I don't want to do the whole thing. Just want to have a little bit of play, right? A little bit of light play. Maybe there's a little bit of white on the edge of this guy. You could even call it snow if you wanted to. There's snow sitting up on the tree branch. I want to have it all the same color. Maybe some of these sticks are just so frozen that they're turned white, right? Then maybe there's one out here, maybe over on this side. All it's doing is just changing the color slightly, so you can kind of tell, your eyes don't get lost in all this dark. Right? A couple branches back in there, over here, and then we'll get back to our road. Now for the road, for the lines on the road, we're just going to use liquid white, okay? So we want to be as straight as possible. Back here, we're going to kind of fog it up anyway. It's going to be thin, and then it gets thicker, so we're pushing more the further we get down here, right? It's going to be thin back there, disappear into nothing. Right? And the further we go down, the thicker it's going to be until we get down to where we're standing, right? Do it on this side. Very thin back there, and then the further we go, the more we push on the brush, so the line gets thicker, right? Very simple. Very simple little line here. That, and if we're doing it with the liquid white, we can always come back in and adjust it, make it straighter, stuff like that. Okay, we want this side to be a little thicker. Down. Put our line down the center here. Again, getting thicker around the bottom as we come down. Remember, the more and more you mix, very thin at the back. Almost kind of touching each other back there, and then we're going to make the fog out of it. But the more and more you mix this stuff or go over it again, the more it's going to change and mix in with that darker street color that's underneath, right? This is when we can take our Filbert brush, come back in here, just kind of decide where we want our little foggy mist to live. Take a little bit of titanium white, and just make this fog, just sort of mix it in. Now, this Filbert brush can act like an eraser, so wherever you've kind of come out of your line, push it real thin, and we can make our lines nice and straight. It'll kind of pick up that paint and drag it along. And on this side, this one's pretty straight down here. That, I'm going to try to get it from the other side. There we go. My finger in that whole thing. That's why when you finish the sides, you got to be careful. All right, get some of that out of there. The more and more you mix in with this liquid white, the brighter that our street's going to become, right? So, we can just make some mist out of it. Come back in over that white line, make it a little bit darker. And then, if you want to have, some dashes in your road, go in with your eraser, make your dash marks. This one down here. It's completely gone. There's like a space in between, right? Just like that. Now we've got these dashes in our road or path. Why? It could be a walking path. It doesn't have to be a road. Take our little 1-inch brush, just using the corner again, making some fog up down here, some mist. Some misty clouds down in there, whatever you want to do. Whatever you're feeling brave enough to do. Right? You can always sit there and play with it until it's done to your satisfaction. I kind of like those dash marks in there. Just kind of mixing it up until it just disappears. Want your fog kind of brighter, you can make it brighter. We're not over mixing it. We're just kind of throwing this little kind of shadowy cloud that's rolled across our little walkway or pathway or road or whatever we're going to call it. I think that looks pretty good. Now the way that we've done our lines, it makes it look like the road's turned off to the right-hand side now. Go. Back in. Just kind of want to make them on the same line back here is all I'm doing. That side a little bit thinner. Up into our fog. Alright, then we can come back. Remember how I said it would look cool if there was a kind of a branch off of this sucker kind of hanging over the line? So we can do that. almost forgot to highlight this guy over here. Liquid white again, and again, we just want to touch. We don't want to cover up all the dark. Just kind of want to touch it in different areas, right? Now we got this little snow-covered bush down the side of our walking path or our road, whatever you're going to call it. This side a little bit thicker down here. And again, you just kind of sit and play with it until you like the way that it looks. About the same on each side. Remember, thicker down here, thinner at the top. That gives you the illusion that it's going away. Okay, a little bit of white on this guy. Again, you can just sit here and play for hours. But in the meantime, oh, almost forgot this little guy down there. A little bit of light on the top of him. Maybe it's coming down that way. Over there, over there, over there. Totally up to you. Don't overdo it. Don't overthink it, okay? Our little bird's in here somewhere. And call it done. Maybe they're up here in the darker area, kind of flying. There you go. Me, my wife, my daughter. Every painting. And then we'll come in. Shoot, we'll sign this one over here this time. Hide it in amongst these little branches. Just like that, we got a completed painting, guys. Remember, Happy Little Landscapes, make a mess, kind of show you how to turn it into something cool, okay? So, if you guys like this painting, it'll be available on Etsy. The last one sold before I was even able to post a video, so get there quick if it's still there. Use promo code YouTube. Okay, spell it all out, YouTube. That'll get you 30% off of this painting. Follow me on Instagram at Happy Little Landscapes. You can go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/happylandscapeart, or search at Happy Landscape Art. Subscribe on YouTube, of course. The more subscribers I have, the more videos I'll be able to bring to you guys. And this one turned out great. So if you like it and it was helpful to you, subscribe, share it. Post your version, copy the link, share the link with when you post it, and that way people will be able to get to the video. I can only reach so many people. I'm counting on you guys to reach the rest of them and bring them all here so we can all paint together every day, right? It'd be awesome. If we could do this every day, it'd be fantastic. I want to thank you guys for staying with me. I had fun. Hope you had fun, and we'll see you on the next painting. Hey! Do that. Today, guys, we have Van Dyke Brown. Fuck. You again. Always subscribe. The more subscribers I have, the more people. Almost forgot. Follow me on Instagram. At Instagram. Little scary. So if you want to learn to paint a painting just like this one, stick around. Oh my God. Just like this. Okay, I swear to God.